Now, we're going to be looking at more concerning the illegal migration which we often see. Life overseas isn't always as rosy as it appears, especially when the traveler enters a country illegally. In this next report, we listen to the account of an Eritrean migrant or immigrant, and believe me, it's anything but rosy.
Eritrean migrant Gabriel settled in the Israeli coastal city of Tel Aviv after fleeing from Eritrea in 2008. He explains his bitter experience, far from illusion, which migrants have about their various destinations being heaven on earth.
The thing that makes me to escape is because of the political persecution for the process that we did in the university. I was being persecuted. I was in prison. Also, I was being also to send like for punishment to the army. I was in army for 3 years. It was clear slavery. I'm not working for my country or for my people. Asking for the Israeli government to check our status to be recognized like refugees because of the problem that we makes us to escape from our country.
According to statistics published by the Israel Interior Ministry in April, 33,506 Eritreans are currently living in Israel. In a United Nations inquiry published on Monday, June 8, the Human Rights Report said Eritrea may have committed crimes against humanity, describing extrajudicial killings, widespread torture, sexual slavery, and enforced labor. Slavery-like practices are routine and torture is so widespread that the Commission said it could only conclude that the government's policy was to encourage its use. The head of the legal department of the Hotline Organization for Refugees and Migrants, Asaf Whitson, said that the report is calling the international community to protect the Eritrean migrants around the world.
The United Nations report is calling the international community to give protection to Eritreans because of the situation in their country of origin. Israel acknowledged this fact because even if someone is denied refugee rights, in the decision to reject his asylum request, Israeli authorities are specifically saying, because of the situation in Eritrea, we will not send you to Eritrea. But at the same time, they don't give the rights and recognition as a refugee. And this must be changed because when people don't have rights and cannot support themselves, the entire community suffers.
Whitson described how the Eritrean authorities consider Eritreans who left the country illegally as betrayers.
In order to run away, you cannot just go to the airport and buy a ticket and leave Eritrea. They must leave illegally. And the Eritrean authorities see anyone who left illegally the state as a betrayer, as someone who is in opposition to the regime. So first of all, they had to escape Eritrea. It is not an easy thing to do. Then they had to go through different lands and find or try to find shelter in other countries. And sadly, it is not an easy task by itself.
Eritrea maintains a vast detention network and regards anyone who tries to leave the country as a Eritrea traitor. But a large portion of the population had already fled. About 6 to 10% of Eritreans are now registered as refugees by the UN, depending on estimates of the population. Eritrea has operated a shoot-to-kill policy on its borders to stop people fleeing. The Commission said people were still being shot in 2014, although the government says it has ended the policy. The report also said that the government operates a pervasive surveillance network to monitor its own citizens, while judges are not competent to ensure fundamental rights are upheld.
Now, despite what you just watched, we will have you know that people will still take that risk, especially when fleeing crisis-hit countries, and most migrants do not abide by the rules of destination countries. On its part, the European Union is doing what it can to salvage the situation. EU countries will soon triple funding for rescue missions in the Mediterranean to help Greek and Italian authorities cope with thousands of arrivals each month. Now, to further ease the burden on southern countries, the 28-nation EU has proposed redistributing tens of thousands of migrants among its member states. But while most of the European Union agrees more needs to be done to rescue people at sea, the EU is deeply at odds over how to cope with them once they are ashore. EU asylum rules, known as the Dublin Regulation, require people seeking refuge to do so in the European country where they set foot. Northern European countries defend the policy as a way to prevent multiple applications across the continent, but some are upset with what they see as Italy's lax attitude to registering asylum seekers. We'll take a break now on the program. When we come back, we look at activities right here at home in Nigeria. A summit is going on in order to tackle the Boko Haram insurgency. Details in a moment. Please stay with us.